Around the room.
First question in the middle over there. Third row.
Christian Palotie, Sanoma Media Finland. Thank you, Erik, for your time. These past two postseasons, you've really created a competitive advantage with your gapping defense. Especially against the offenses that rely on dribble penetration, like the three opponents you faced in the Eastern Conference. The Nuggets, however, are often able to puncture the front line of defenses with passing and cutting. Can you talk about the tactical challenges it poses to your defense, specifically in terms of individual execution?
Yeah, it's complex. It's a headache. They can beat you with the pass, beat you off the dribble, beat you from the three-point line, in transition. So it really becomes about collectively wrapping your mind around doing really tough things. And sometimes it's not going to be perfect or how you thought it might go, but you have to compete and find a way to overcome.
Coach Robert O'Connell, Wall Street Journal. You've talked about the shooters when they have an off night, just keeping that let it fly mentality, believing that the next game the numbers will turn. Jimmy talked about how much he enjoys getting his shooters their shots right in the pocket. What kind of confidence does it give coming from a fellow player, a leader on the team, as opposed to the coaching staff maybe giving them that confidence? What's it say when Jimmy is all about getting them those shots even after off shooting nights?
Yeah, for sure. It's way more impactful when it's coming from your two best players. Jimmy and Bam both are really unselfish. They both want to play the right way. They want to get guys involved. They understand intellectually how important it is to have everybody as a live weapon. And so you see them make a lot of simple plays. It doesn't have to be their play. It could be a play that just where they get off the ball and other guys can be recipients of that. In terms of the shooting, our guys always have the green light and they have the confidence of everybody. But we've also proven that we're not totally reliant on that because you can't always control whether you're making shots or not. You still can compete and find different ways to win a game.
Joe, right here in the front.
Joe Varden, The Athletic. Erik, I know we've been talking about this almost every day now, but as we're getting to a Game 4 before Tyler could be available, is that too late to be fair to him and to this team with how you've been playing to reincorporate him into everything?
I wouldn't necessarily say that, but we're still, day to day. I don't have another update for you. He's scheduled to have another full contact workout tomorrow. He has not been cleared yet, so until he's been cleared, a lot of this stuff is really just hypothetical.
Over here, standing on the left.
Erik, the Nuggets all year have been really good at pushing off makes and misses, especially when Joker's on the floor. I was wondering if you could just tell us about the challenge of making sure you get all five defenders back in transition.
Yeah, it has to be a sprint. You have to have a next play speed mentality for sure, because if you're late or you glitch for a second, Jokic is such a great defensive rebounder. If he gets anywhere from 12 to 15 to 18 rebounds, how many of those 10 will be bust outs? So it's a little bit different than, some of the transition stuff we've been dealing with in previous series. But the common denominator is, trying to take away, some easy ones, relief ones. And we've had some practice in playing against speed teams in the previous series.
On your right, Tim.
Erik, I know you've got bigger things on your plate today, but Byron Spruill was on ESPN this afternoon and said that there's a chance for a second challenge next year. If the first one is successful, you get to keep it. Is that something coaches have clamored for?
Yes. I think that would be good. Yeah. I think it would be good. I don't know what the unintended consequences are, but I always feel like if I burn one, whenever, early in a game and you win it, it's like, oh, geez, I would like to have another one, but then we're dealing with, if that is the case, then all the players in the starting the first minute of the game, I hate that as well.
Melissa on the left.
Melissa Rowland, Fox Sports. One of the more under-talked about aspects of Jokic's game is his basketball IQ. And I was wondering, how big of a challenge does that present?
It's a challenge. That's why it transcends scheme. It really becomes a mentality that our guys love to compete. They love big challenges, love to be out there in front of everybody. out there for everybody to judge, to see, but to really have it be decided between those four lines. When you're dealing with, 7-game series and each round it gets a little bit tougher, this is the ultimate challenge. It's a great team. They have really good habits, and Jokic can manipulate your defense in so many different ways that I can't even get into. You just have to embrace that competition and find a way to overcome it regardless of how difficult it can be.
Fourth row on your right.
Coach Tomer Azarli from Clutch Points. I'm just curious. You became, I think, the youngest head coach at the time when you became the head coach, and you've been through so many different situations. I see you often, bouncing stuff off Pat Riley and talking to him. I'm curious how your relationship with him has evolved over the years, and are you still, kind of bouncing these off him ideas and different things?
All the time. He's the voice I trust more than anybody. I mean, I listen to my staff. We're in the trench. Every single day. Pat and I's relationship has evolved in so many different ways over the years. Now it's really, he's just a calming presence. Sometimes in those moments in between, if you see us, maybe in the stands or, after practice or something, everybody probably thinks that we're scheming and planning on all this stuff. A lot of times we're just BSing, and he's asking how the kids are doing, and, he just has a way of just kind of alleviating some of the pressure that we all feel.
Ethan, last question up front.
Erik, just to follow on that, Pat's often used the phrase, the playoffs tell. I used to use that when he was a coach, about whether or not you had a guy who could play well in these kind of situations. How do you scout that? Because it seems like you could scout everything else, height, size, everything else, but how you know a guy like a Gabe Vincent is going to perform when the lights are brightest, or a Duncan Robinson or a Max Strus?
I don't think that's fair to I don't think anybody can predict that. None of us are Nostradamus in terms of that. What you try to do is just find like-minded guys, that where we speak the same language, where it's a fit, and then we can figure out the rest. And then ultimately we all have to prove it, on this kind of stage. But when you're not speaking the same language and you don't view competition the same way, whatever your culture may be, I think that's where it can be a little bit complicated. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.